Test. On behalf of the technical issue, we are sorry. So let's start.
Okay, again, we are sorry due to the technical issues. Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. On behalf of the organizer, here are a few announcements to make before the program begins. A gentle reminder for the presenter to be prepared before your turn. Next, all the presenters are advised not to turn off your microphone during the presentations. Attention to all the presenter and viewers. The keyword will be given at the end of the sessions. The keyword must be obtained by the viewers in order to be eligible for the certificate. Also, to all the viewers, please use appropriate language when commenting. Your cooperation are appreciated. Thank you. So, welcome to the opening ceremony of ASEAN University Student Leadership Conference 2020, defining the roles of student leadership in facing pandemic COVID-19. My name is Fitri Abdullah. It's an honor for me to be here today as the Master of Ceremony. For the ceremony blessings, we shall begin our event today with the recital of Al-Fatiha. Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We are graced with the chance to be created in this momentous ceremony. College Perindu University Technology Mara, Malaysia, in collaboration with ASEAN universities from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, and Cambodia, comes together to organize the Student Leadership in Conference 2020 with the theme defining the role of students' leadership in pandemic COVID-19. This conference aims to give chance to leaders among university students to discuss few aspects such as first, leadership, sport and health, humanitarian and volunteerism, mobility and global networking, art and culture, economy and entrepreneurship, innovation, and the last one but not least, online distance learning ODL. The purpose of this program is also to create a collaboration and global networking between students, educator, management, and lecturer in general. Other than that, the participants are given a chance to share ideas and experience on international leadership. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Afish Shazani as a moderator to take over the conference session for today. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum and greetings, distinguished guests, presenters, participants, and audiences. Welcome to the ASEAN University Student Leadership Conference 2020, defining a role of student leadership in facing pandemic COVID-19, Day 4, Session 7. First of all, I would like to thank the presenters and participants for willing to join our first conference. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Afish Shazani, and I am the moderator for this session presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, before the event begins, I would like to read and recall the rules and regulations throughout the presentation. Presenters must wear appropriate attire. Presenters are required to join or enter the StreamYard platform 10 minutes before the presentation time set by the organizer. Presenters must ensure that there is no noise interference during the presentation. Your mute or unmute function will be handled by the host. Presenters are required to adhere to the rotation of the presentation that has been set by the organizer. Moving on to the presentation format, presenters should be in the Lensa window studio 10 minutes before the presentation. Presenters are only allowed to deliver the keynote for 20 minutes, and the 10-minute will sound a warning once. The last 2 minutes will sound a warning twice. After presentation, a 5-minute Q&A session will begin. A reminder to the presenters, after delivering your keynote, you are to leave the Lensa Window Studio to give way for other presenters. And gentle reminder to viewers, At the end of each session, a keyword will be given. The keywords must be obtained for each session by the viewers in order to be eligible for certificate. Without wasting any more time, I would like to call the first presenter, Nurul Aini binti Azhar from University Teknologi Mara, Kampus Bertam Pulau Pinang, Malaysia, with the title Pembelajaran dan Pendidikan Jarak Jauh Atas Talian. Please welcome.
Laptop saya jap ada problem. Go.
I'm sorry, but Miss Noraini have a technical issue just now, and we're moving on to our next presenter, um, Miss Nur Nabihan Najwa binti Zainurin from University Technology Mara, Campus Shah Alam Selangor, Malaysia, representing College Melati with with the title Studying During the COVID-19 Pandemic, a qualitative analysis of College Melati students' perceptions and experiences. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, moderator, Mr. Afif Shazami. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning. My name is Nur Nabihan Najwa binti Zainurin, and I'll present to you about studying during the COVID-19 pandemic, a qualitative analysis of college Melati students' perception on open distance learning. So there is 8 components that we'll present to you this morning, and we will start with the introduction. The global pandemic caused by coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 has caused unprecedented changes to almost every aspect of society, with social distancing orders taking effect across the world since early 2020. It has been declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization (WHO), and student education has also been exceptionally impacted by these changes. This research aimed to assess the students at Melati's College personal experiences while studying during the global pandemic through a well-designed questionnaire. Data were collected online from a sample of 51 respondents, which students fill out, describing their perceptions on open distance learning (ODL). In summary, the present study was able to provide a comprehensive examination of the knowledge and experiences of Melati's College students during the pandemic of COVID-19. This is the example of the open distance learning that students from College Melati has experienced throughout the pandemic. Okay, so the framework so that focus on 3 main ideas of perception. First one is the student participation in terms of student involvement, interactive response, and devices use. The second one is the student's accessibility, the internet access at home and learning environment. And the third one is students learning material relevancy and feedback. Okay, for the first one is the strengths. Strengths of open distance learning. First one is flexible schedule and environment. As we know that when we are home, we're not gonna follow the actual class schedule as provided, because during that time at the early pandemic, we were uh, we were experiencing with the ODL system. So usually lecturers will ask the students to set a date or time regarding that when they are available. And environment, of course, when you do ODL, you can like join online classes whenever you are, as long as there is internet connection. The second is a cost effectiveness. Cost effectiveness is more for uh, traveling costs, that when we're home or we're at a certain places, we don't need a cost to move tours from one place to another. For like example, if we're doing the face-to-face classes, we're gonna stay in a mm, rental house or college. So it does cost us money to stay there, and also the vehicle or the transport that we use to go to the online class. Third, it is self-paced learning. Okay, so online class usually like uh, allow students to study at their own pace and to allow them to understand more while at home without a obstacles or finding the materials online. And the fourth one is the accessibility. Accessibility in terms of the to get the material online, to join the classes while you're going outside or in the car. You can always join the class whenever you are and whichever the time. Next one is the weakness. So we have four weakness for open distance learning. The first is little or no face-to-face, as we are used to have class or going to school since kid. So open distance learning gonna have a little or no face-to-face, as we only like using the online platform to provide the learning materials or to discuss regarding the courses itself. The second one is more workload. As we stay home, sometimes we gonna get the chores from our families, or we have a few tasks that we need to finish it at home. Also, when we have online distance class, like we have a flexible schedule classes, right? So sometimes lecturer will upload the learning material at night or like midnight, and or like early in the morning. Sometimes they will give assignments like at night and everything. So it's gonna add more workload, since we need to submit the assignment and the project or the task given in a certain time without uh, without the barrier of time. The third, the third one is a low internet connection. As we know that in Malaysia, we have certain places in the rural places that have a low internet connection, that have a lack of facilities or infrastructures that allow them to have a better connection there. So it's gonna be tough for them to join or like to even involve actively in the online classes. And the fourth one is distraction. As we live or we stay or we study in a place that's not class, so we attempt to surround ourselves with people that play around or doing other things that may distract us from focus from our classes. The fourth one is the opportunities. Opportunities for the open distance learning. One of it is can review course material quickly as it places or put in online. So we are able to check it whenever we want to do our self revision, or whenever after class we want to record the classes that we have on Google Meet to for our future reference. So whenever we have assignments or exercises to do, we can review that without have the time limit, and you can download it as well to keep it for yourself. Okay, So opportunities for self-based learning is opportunities to find ourselves in how or the method or the style that we use to learn. Okay, so like usually during class, we will be the one that gonna be listen and attend the class to get the knowledge right. But at home, we'll try to like find our style learning. Like either we do a lot of assignments or questions, or we're gonna like involve or watch a lot of other videos to understand better. And like we don't have a like limited like set time to study for ourselves, so we have more flexible time there. The third one is global knowledge. Online courses right now has been like everywhere. There's various kind of global knowledge that have been offered by other universities or even in local or international. So by having or doing the open distance learning, we will have the opportunity to join courses that we actually interested in. Maybe not something that we actually learn in university or schools, but it's just like a general knowledge for us or to improve our skills or improve our knowledge in other things. Um, and we can find it online, and most of the courses or online learning material provided online are free, so we can get it, like use the opportunities to get more knowledge, or like do a study or like short semester to get a certificate to improve our skills. Okay, the last one is improve visual communication. As we know that as a human, we tend to feel shy to stand in front of everyone, or even like to even start communicate with someone that we barely knows. So by having open distance learning, it encourage students to start talking and communicate with other people, even though through online, as it will be a first step, like a very big step for them to start communicate and be socialized to other people. Because in real life, we tend to keep ourselves isolate from the others, and like we feel that we're not good enough and everything. So using the medium of online, we try to at least do one step and try to even communicate them, like giving us the confidence to start talking about ourselves, or even to make friends, more friends visually. The next one is threats that we are having that may uh, that gonna that will threats us from doing a good job or doing a great job in involving in online classes. The first one is self-discipline. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have a fixed schedule for the classes that we have. Maybe we have a fixed schedule, but we don't really follow them all the time, because sometimes we have other work or tasks that we need to do. So we tend to do the class or join the class after other than our actual schedule time. So it's going to be hard for us to self-discipline. As first, it depends on the people itself or the students itself, because we don't know, like some students, they feel like they are lazy to study, because they feel like it's not necessary for them to study more, as they can just join online classes, and the material online can be provided like all the time, and we can access them 24/7. So it's easier for them to check the material online. But it depends on ourselves to discipline ourselves to join the classes and be focused during the classes and take
Sorry
notes.
to interrupt, Ms. Nabihai,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
but you have 10 minutes more for your presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So it's depend on the person itself. So this self-discipline is like awareness of ourselves. Like, do we want to achieve our target, or do we want to just join the classes but not fully focus on the classes and do other work or multitask while classes? Also, it also self-discipline in terms of time. Like some online classes will be in the morning, so the students need to ensure that they sleep early to make sure that they will wake up early and on time to join the classes and ready. Some of the students, or like maybe there are a few students that wake up late and just decided to open their online classes through phones. Yes, but the problem will be like they're still in bed and they're not ready. Like they are not even get themselves ready to accept the new knowledge that they will get that day, or even like they just want to have to make sure that they're not fully participate and focus on the online classes. The next one is unstable internet connection. As I mentioned before, for some rural areas in our country, we still have a problem to connect with the internet properly and have the stable connection. So it's gonna be hard for them to join. Also, it's gonna be like a challenge for them, like an obstacle for them to actually perform well in their studies because of unstable internet connection. It's gonna mm, it's gonna affect on their results because like we have quizzes and assignments online. So if we have unstable internet connection, it's gonna affect our marks during the course during the quiz. So like certain quiz, they have the limited time, like limit time for like 30 minutes or like for 1 hour for a certain amount of questions. So if you have unstable internet connection, you will not get the enough time to actually read and find the true answer that at the end may lead to have a bad results. The third one is lack of motivation. During the early pandemic, we are quarantined in our home, so it's going to be hard for us to move around and meet other people to socialize. So sometimes when we're home, we do the online distance learning, we will have like motivation because we feel like when we participate in the class, but then we don't understand what they actually teach us about. And we're not gonna reach out to everyone, or like if we reach out to anyone or our friends, like they are not available at that time. So it's gonna like affect our motivation. Like we are gonna start to feel like it's gonna be hard this semester. We're gonna start having bad thoughts about ourselves. Like we're gonna like say that I'm gonna be I'm gonna fail because I don't get because I don't understand what lecturers explain to me. So something like that. And because of they are surrounding and with family, sometimes they are shy or like scared to even share it with their families. So it's gonna like tough for them to overcome this problem because they don't even talk to anyone. And when they want to talk to anyone, it's going to be visually, not face to face. As we usually like in a comfort zone, going to class, we have our friends together so we can do a discussion at that part, at that moment, or like ask our lecturers directly. So right now, since we're having the online classes, it's going to be a bit out of our comfort zone. And like we need to make extra effort to make sure that we are able to catch up with the studies that we have online. And the last one is limited guidance. As we know that when we have online classes, we have no or little face-to-face session. So sometimes we only use the medium like WhatsApp, Telegram to interact from lecturers and students. But the problem is right now is when they have a problem for their or they have a questions on regarding their online courses or subjects, they don't even like ask the lecturers directly, or even if they ask, the explanation will be online for like WhatsApp and Telegram. So it's hard for them to actually understand more or understand how to solve the problems or the questions that they have regarding their courses. Okay. So the next one is the result respondent from the UiTM College, Melati UiTM students. So from this result, we can say that most of the respondents are from third year degree students, and the medium that is currently often used in UiTM Shalom is Google Meet, Google Classroom, and WhatsApp. Okay, So most of them are comfortable with visual communication, as it encourages you to talk more online instead of talk more face to face, because we are tend to shy and feel discouraged or with just being an introvert. Okay, so and because of they are most of them comfortable with visual communication, majority active participate with the discussion online. So it's going to help them more regarding their studies. uh, it depends on the students themselves. If they feel like they don't understand and they decided to actively participate with the discussion online, it's going to be beneficial for them, as they will get the like instant answer or like help or the guidance that they need for their studies. Okay, the next one is some of them enjoy study online more, as like I said, is sometimes more convenient for us because we have a flexible time and schedule and we can do it anytime, anywhere. So some of them feel like when doing online classes, they don't need to like move far away or like taking a transport to go to certain places. So it's easier for them to just stay at home and just be prepared for the classes. And it seems that more than half of the students in college community have strong internet connection at home and are able to access the internet when needed, especially during class or during the examinations. Okay, so but almost half students disagree with the ability to manage study time while on open distance learning. As I mentioned before, the workload will be different, since when we at home we have a extra choices or tasks to do, and also because this is online, so sometimes lecturer will give the assignments or the questions like without uh, considering the time. So sometimes student will get the learning material or the assignments at the middle of the night or midnight. So it's going to be hard for them to actually manage their study time to able to able to finish their works properly. Okay, so 34 of the students find that it is not conducive to study at home, as we usually go to the college or in school to study and we have a proper classroom to have a learning and teaching process. And we usually just go home during the end of semester. So that's basically our time where we want to just relax and have fun because we have our semester break. But right now we need to change the concept as we study at home. So our mindset like is already like set. The home is the place to relax and holiday. But
Sorry to interrupt, Ms. Nabihan,
yes,
but you have 2 minutes to complete your presentation. Thank you.
all right, thank you. So it's hard for them to actually focus on their studies. Okay, I will go to the solution. So my core solution will be the government needs to consider build more infrastructures that may help the student to get access to the internet even in the rural areas. Okay, the next one is the universities or college needs to have a fixed or proper class schedule such as face-to-face class. So the implementation in face-to-face class need to do the same thing for online classes. And the third one is use various platform and learning tools for better engagement. Because some of the students have the trouble to actually focus on a class, and sometimes they feel like because of lack of engagement between the lecturers and students, they find it boring to just like reading the material. So lecturers sometimes need to use more various platform, like my personal experiences. The actual use videos, but also we're gonna have like Google Meet meeting to understand better and to explain better, and then we do a tutorial together. So it's gonna help me personally to understand and improve myself in that certain specific subject. Okay, the last one is student needs to find ways to adapt to the situation and try to use every opportunity to improve their study within. As I said, we we had our comfort zone before where we go to the class, but right now we use a different alternative, which is using the online platform. So we need to use the opportunities like we can get a global knowledge But also when we have a study classes, we're going to prioritize our time for study and classes, and then we can join the global to get the global knowledge. So we need to try to adapt and use the opportunities that are provided online for our to improve our study routine, also our knowledge and improvement for our uh, economy. Okay, my conclusion will be the pandemic of COVID-19 has changed the education system as a preventive measure to control the infectious coronavirus from keep on spreading across the country. Despite the challenge, a new approach has been taken by utilizing the use of technology and internet to support and continue the learning process that has been interrupted during this pandemic by changing from traditional classroom to online class, also known as open distance learning or DIA. This situation will be challenging to the students to adapt to the new normal, especially for those who live in least developed areas. Overall, despite all the challenges that we may experience, online distance learning is a good approach to apply in our education in Malaysia. It may have disadvantages, but it's a good effort to ensure that learning process will be continuing. It will also considered as a way to get used to the new normal condition and utilize all the options that may offer. The reference I use are all from journals. First one is the student perception of online learning during COVID-19 pandemic. The second one is the coronavirus COVID-19 and online learning in higher institution of education. The third one is the attitudes and perception of students to open and distance learning in Nigeria. And the last one is the studying the COVID-19 pandemic, a qualitative, inductive content and landscape of nursing students' perception and experiences, education sciences. Thank you. That's all for me. We're going to move to the Q&A session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nabian, for your presentation.
Okay.
Now we may begin a 5-minute Q&A session. I'm going to have one more question. Yeah. Do you think, from Danny Ahmad, do you think ODL class gives more advantages than disadvantages than ordinary physical class? From my experience, it's harder to digest the syllabus through ODL.
Okay, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier, yes, we have advantages and disadvantages of online classes, but also it depends on us as a student to make more effort to understand study and find a way to actually engage with the lecturers and ask them regarding your problems or like questions regarding the courses. So it's like for me, there are more there are several advantages and disadvantages, but at the end of the day, to improve your study or to understand better in your study, you need to make more effort, like to make notes, um, engage with your lecturers and make a discussion with your friends, because I see, or like from my point of view or experiences, I see that most of students usually like don't make any notes, saying we know that we're gonna have or like get the notes from the lecturers after class, but we don't even like make notes on the important points that is explained during the online classes. That makes it hard for us to revise it back after the class. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny Ahmad, for your questions, and thank you, Ms. Nabian, also for your answer the questions, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, that's from Miss Nabihan Najwa from University of Jimara, representing College Melati with the title Studying During the COVID-19 Pandemic, a Qualitative Analysis of College Melati Students' Perspective and Experiences. Now, next, we would like to call the next presenter, Mimade Marlin Minarsi from Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Indonesia, with the title Pengembangan Media Audiovisual Sederhana dalam Pembelajaran Kosakata pada Siswa Autis sebagai media pembelajaran jarak jauh. Please welcome. Excuse me, Miss Marlene, but we cannot hear you from the studio. Is it okay? Excuse me, Miss Marlene, but sorry, we cannot hear. We still cannot hear you.
I'm sorry for Oke, terima kasih. Saya ulang kembali terkait dengan paper yang akan saya sampaikan pada siang hari ini, yaitu dengan tema online distance learning dengan tajuk penulisan pengembangan media audiovisual sederhana dalam pembelajaran kosakata autis sebagai media pembelajaran jarak jauh. Struktur pembentangan saya pada siang hari ini ada 6, yaitu yang pertama pendahuluan, yang kedua metode, lalu hasil, pembahasan, kesimpulan, dan daftar pustaka. Baik, pada pendahuluan, kenapa penelitian ini saya lakukan? Hal ini dilatar belakangi karena siswa autis mengalami hambatan dalam proses pembelajaran. Seperti yang kita tahu bahwa siswa autis mengalami hambatan dalam komunikasi, interaksi, pelajaran bahasa. Nah, dengan adanya pandemi COVID-19 ini, maka siswa autis semakin mengalami hambatan dalam pembelajaran jarak jauh yang mengakibatkan siswa semakin menyulitkan siswa dalam proses pembelajaran. Hal tersebut dilaporkan oleh beberapa orang tua yang mengalami kesulitan untuk mengajarkan siswa autis di rumah. Hal tersebut, siswa autis cenderung terbatas dalam kemampuan bahasa. Kosakata adalah dasar penguasaan bahasa. Nah, siswa autis ini mengalami hambatan dalam pembelajaran bahasa, dan kosakata ini adalah dasar dari pembelajaran bahasa, sehingga diperlukan media pembelajaran jarak jauh untuk pembelajaran kosakata bagi siswa autis selama pandemi COVID-19 ini. Nah, media pembelajaran yang mudah dan efektif digunakan siswa autis adalah media pembelajaran audiovisual. Media audiovisual adalah media yang menggabungkan antara audio atau suara dan visual atau pandangan. Jadi media audiovisual ini efektif dikarenakan merangsang lebih dari satu indera pada siswa, yaitu indera pendengaran dan indera penglihatan. Nah, media audiovisual memungkinkan siswa dapat mendapatkan pengalaman belajar yang lebih nyata. Nah, misalnya contohnya antara media audiovisual dan media visual, maka siswa akan mendapatkan pengalaman belajar yang lebih nyata menggunakan media audiovisual. Contohnya, jika hanya menggunakan buku atau kartu dengan video yang ada gambar dan suara, maka siswa akan mendapatkan pengalaman yang lebih nyata ketika belajar menggunakan audiovisual seperti contohnya video. Beberapa mengatakan bahwa media audiovisual membantu anak autis dalam memahami konsep. Penelitian lainnya juga menyebutkan bahwa media audiovisual membantu meningkatkan kemampuan identifikasi suku kata pada siswa autis. Penelitian lainnya menyebutkan pula bahwa media audiovisual terbukti secara efektif meningkatkan kemampuan kosakata siswa. Sehingga dalam melakukan pengembangan media audiovisual untuk siswa autis, haruslah memperhatikan 5 acuan kualitas media yang harus dimiliki untuk mendapatkan media yang berkualitas dan efektif digunakan dalam proses pembelajaran. Nah, apa saja 5 acuan dalam penentuan kualitas media? Yaitu kualitas pengembangan media audiovisual untuk autis, yang pertama adalah memperhatikan kualitas isi atau quality content, yaitu ketepatan dalam pemilihan kompetensi dengan pembelajaran, kesesuaian materi dengan kompetensi, kerunutan materi, kesesuaian materi dengan media, kemampuan media dalam mencapai tujuan pembelajaran. Yang kedua adalah kualitas instruksional atau pembelajaran atau instructional quality, yaitu kesesuaian dengan kebutuhan belajar siswa. Media pembelajaran itu harus sesuai dengan kebutuhan pembelajaran siswa, kesesuaian dengan karakteristik siswa, karena itu walaupun sama-sama mengalami hambatan autis, karakteristiknya akan berbeda satu sama lain walaupun ada karakteristik yang sama, namun setiap siswa memiliki keunikan masing-masing. Media harus mampu menambah wawasan siswa, memiliki variasi pembelajaran, terdapat penilaian dan evaluasi dalam media tersebut. Yang ketiga adalah kualitas bahasa atau language quality. Kualitas bahasa ini adalah media pembelajaran harus menggunakan bahasa yang komunikatif. Komunikatif ini mudah dimengerti, bahasa yang sesuai dengan ejaan, lalu tidak memiliki kata ambigu atau kata yang memiliki satu kata yang memiliki arti yang sama, lalu bahasa atau kosakata mudah dipahami, dan menggunakan bahasa sederhana, sehingga mudah untuk dibaca dan memiliki keterbacaan yang baik. Siswa autis mengalami hambatan dalam bahasa, sehingga dalam proses pemilihan media, baik itu media visual, audiovisual atau media lainnya, diperlukan pemilihan bahasa yang tepat. Bahasa yang tepat ini adalah bahasa yang sederhana, mudah dibaca oleh siswa, memiliki keterbacaan yang baik, dan berfungsi untuk kehidupan siswa. Jadi media ini harus diperhatikan dengan baik pada kualitas bahasa. Selanjutnya pada kualitas yang keempat adalah kualitas grafika atau graphic quality. Dalam menggunakan media untuk siswa autis, Vika atau apa karena pada media kita harus menentukan tulisan yang sesuai dengan siswa, bentuk tulisan yang sesuai, tata letak gambar dan tulisan yang baik, dan kejelasan dalam tulisan dan kesesuaian gambar. Ukuran tulisan yang sesuai dimaksudkan agar mempermudah siswa untuk mempelajari dan membaca tulisan tersebut. Lalu bentuk tulisan yang sesuai maksudnya adalah bahwa dia seragam, tidak terlalu banyak bentuk tulisan yang, jadi tulisannya itu yang sederhana saja, jangan terlalu banyak bentuk-bentuknya karena akan mengakibatkan siswa mengalami distraksi sehingga tidak fokus. Tata letak gambar dan tulisan yang baik. Tata gambar ini maksudnya adalah bahwa saat menggunakan media audiovisual yang berkaitan dengan visual atau gambar, maka tata letak gambarnya itu harus pada center tengah dan tidak terlalu kecil. Jadi tata letak gambar itu harus di tengah dengan tulisan. Nah, kejelasan tulisan itu harus jelas, tidak terlalu mepet atau tidak terlalu kecil, dan tulisan itu harus sesuai dengan gambar yang ditampilkan sehingga tidak membingungkan siswa. Selanjutnya adalah kualitas dalam penyajian media atau presentation quality. Kualitas penyajian media ini, media yang ditampilkan harus menarik bagi siswa, penyajiannya lengkap dan sistematis serta mudah digunakan oleh siswa. Selanjutnya harus memiliki daya tampil yang baik dari segi bentuk dan ukurannya, sehingga kualitas penyajian ini sangat penting bagi siswa karena untuk siswa autis itu tertarik pada benda-benda yang ada suaranya biasanya dan ada gambarnya. Nah, bagaimana kita memilih gambar yang tidak membuat siswa distraksi, tapi membuat siswa fokus, tapi menarik bagi siswa. Jadi itu adalah kualitas penyajian yang harus dilakukan pada pemilihan dalam pengembangan media audiovisual bagi siswa autis selama masa pandemi, yaitu dengan pembelajaran jarak jauh. Pada metode penelitian yang saya lakukan, yaitu metode penelitian deskriptif kualitatif dengan teknik pengumpulan data, observasi, wawancara, dan dokumentasi. Dengan teknik data yang saya lakukan adalah analisis deskriptif. Dengan subjek penelitian yang saya gunakan adalah siswa sekolah dasar atau primary school dengan studi kebutuhan kepada 33 siswa autis di 6 sekolah di Kota Bali. Metode penelitian yang langkah-langkah metode penelitian yang saya lakukan adalah melakukan studi kebutuhan awal siswa, yaitu mengamati pada 30 siswa itu mengamati tipe tulisan dan gambar yang disukai siswa, mengamati audio yang disukai siswa, mengamati pembelajaran kosakata yang dibutuhkan oleh siswa pada tingkat sekolah dasar atau primary school, selanjutnya merencanakan dan mengembangkan media audio studi pendahuluan tersebut. Berdasarkan penelitian saya mendapatkan hasil bahwa siswa autis dari 30 subjek yang saya teliti, siswa autis membutuhkan dalam pembelajaran media audiovisual, siswa autis membutuhkan ukuran font, ukurannya lumayan besar dan baca. Selanjutnya, ya, suku A yang dibutuhkan. Oke, terima kasih. Pola suku kata yang dibutuhkan yaitu pola suku kata sederhana, yaitu konsonan vokal pada tingkat sekolah dasar atau primary school. Contohnya kosakata dengan konsonan vokal yaitu mata, gigi, itu untuk kosakata anggota tubuh dan seperti sapu contohnya untuk kosakata benda di sekitar. Gambar yang dibutuhkan siswa adalah gambar yang nyata atau gambar yang menyerupai asli. Jadi tidak gambar kartun atau yang bersifat tidak nyata. Jadi gambar yang dibutuhkan oleh siswa autis adalah gambar yang menyerupai asli. Selanjutnya gambar dan tulisan agar tidak terlalu banyak bagi siswa autis agar siswa menjadi fokus. Kosakata yang dibutuhkan sesuai dengan studi pendahuluan saya adalah kosakata pada tubuh dan benda-benda di sekitar. Nah, audio yang dibutuhkan, audio itu adalah audio yang singkat dan jelas sehingga dalam pembelajaran kosakata tidak boleh menggunakan audio yang terlalu panjang, harus singkat dan jelas sesuai dengan tujuan dari pembelajaran tersebut. Berdasarkan pembahasan yang akan saya lakukan adalah media audiovisual harus disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan masing-masing siswa. Jadi harus dilakukan asesmen pada setiap siswa karena walaupun siswa autis memiliki karakteristik yang hampir mirip, namun setiap siswa autis memiliki perbedaan sehingga diperlukan asesmen pada setiap siswa untuk menentukan media audiovisual yang sesuai dalam pembelajaran. Baik contohnya media visual ada siswa yang cocok dengan slide bersuara, ada yang cocok dengan film pendek. Jadi disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan siswa. Audio yang ditampilkan juga harus singkat dan jelas. Selanjutnya, materi yang dipilih harus disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan. Pada penelitian ini, materi yang dipilih adalah materi anggota tubuh dan benda di sekitar karena siswa pada sekolah dasar harus mengenali kosakata pada tubuhnya dan pada benda-benda di sekitarnya. Secara teknis, harus disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan siswa seperti ukuran tulisan, jenis tulisan, warna tulisan, jenis gambar. Pada penelitian ini, kebutuhan siswa yang saya dapatkan dari hasil studi pendahuluan adalah menggunakan font dengan ukuran 79 dengan font geometri menggunakan bar yang menyerupai asli atau nyata. Selanjutnya, pola suku kata yang diajarkan pada siswa autis harus disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan siswa. Penelitian ini, pola suku kata yang dibutuhkan berdasarkan hasil penelitian saya adalah pola suku kata konsonan vokal sederhana seperti contoh mempelajari kosakata mata, gigi, kaki, jari, sapu, meja, buku, sehingga hanya konsonan vokal saja untuk siswa dengan sekolah dasar. Kesimpulannya, conclusion, bahwa pengembangan media visual untuk pembelajaran jarak jauh siswa autis harus memperhatikan kebutuhan siswa dengan melakukan asesmen, memperhatikan kebutuhan jenis media, materi, pola suku kata, tulisan, jenis font, ukuran tulisan, jenis audio, warna, dan gambar yang digunakan. Media pembelajaran harus menarik perhatian siswa sehingga membuat fokus dalam pembelajaran, namun tidak membuat siswa distraksi. Jadi media pembelajaran itu harus menarik, tapi membuat siswa fokus. Berikut daftar pustaka yang saya gunakan dalam penelitian ini. Dan ini beberapa video dokumentasi yang saya lakukan pada penelitian studi kebutuhan awal sebelum pandemi COVID pada akhir tahun 2019, bahwa siswa autis menyukai media yang bersifat media audiovisual mempermudah siswa dalam proses pembelajaran. Berikut dokumentasi yang saya lakukan dalam penelitian ini. Baik, terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Marlene, for your presentation. Now, next we'll begin a 5-minute Q&A session with Ms. Marlene. If you have any questions for Ms. Marlene, please feel free to comment on the sections, comment sections. Okay, thank you, Ms. Marlene. It seems like there's no question for you. And thank you for your presentations. And that was from University Negeri Yogyakarta, Indonesia, from Ni Made Mardin Minarsi with the title Pengembangan Media Audiovisual Sederhana dalam Pembelajaran Kosakata pada Siswa Autis sebagai media pembelajaran jarak jauh. Next, we would like to call the next presenter, Nurul Aini binti Azhar from University Teknologi Bertam, Pulau Pinang, Malaysia, with the title Pembelajaran dan Pendidikan Jarak Jauh atas Talian. Please welcome.
Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan salam UiTM di hatiku. Nama diberi Nuraini binti Azhar dan saya merupakan wakil dari UiTM Cawangan Pulau Pinang Kampus Bertam. Pertama sekali saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada pihak penganjur kerana telah memberikan saya dan juga rakan-rakan saya peluang untuk menyertai program ini bersama-sama dengan universiti lain. Jadi tema yang akan dibentangkan pada hari ini adalah bertemakan ODL yang bertajuk Pembelajaran dan Pendidikan Jarak Jauh atas Talian. Jadi terdapat 8 struktur yang akan dibincangkan dalam pembentangan hari ini termasuk satu sumber rujukan yang digunakan untuk menyiapkan slide ini. Jadi seperti yang kita tahu, pada Januari 2020 yang lepas, Pertubuhan Kesihatan Sedunia WHO telah mengisytiharkan situasi pandemik akibat penularan sejenis virus baru jenis corona yang menyebabkan wabak COVID-19. Selaras dengan pengisytiharan wabak itu, satu negara telah menutup semua sektor termasuklah sektor pendidikan. Seiring dengan perintah kawalan pergerakan yang dilaksanakan oleh kerajaan bagi membendung wabak COVID ini, kaedah pembelajaran atas talian merupakan satu keperluan. Oleh itu, kebanyakan universiti tempatan baik awam maupun swasta termasuk sekolah-sekolah di Malaysia tiada pilihan lain dengan menggunakan kaedah pengajaran dan pembelajaran secara maya bagi memastikan pengajaran dapat dilaksanakan sebaik mungkin dan sisi pembelajaran tidak ditangguhkan. Jadi, apakah itu pembelajaran dan pendidikan jarak jauh? Seperti yang kita tahu, pembelajaran dan pendidikan jarak jauh ini merupakan satu bidang pendidikan yang bertumpu dalam memberikan pendidikan kepada para pelajar yang tidak berada di suatu lokasi setempat seperti di institusi pengajian tinggi atau IPTA. Jadi melalui pembelajaran jauh ini, pelajar dan pengajar berkomunikasi secara atas talian dan ketika berada di tempat yang berlainan sesuai dengan jadual yang telah ditetapkan. Seperti contoh, medium kita gunakan sekarang ini adalah seperti ODL yang dilakukan pada para pelajar di Malaysia dan juga di negara lain. Oleh itu, apa kekuatan daripada ODL ini? Yang pertama, kita dapat lihat dari segi melahirkan generasi yang celik IT di mana penggunaan aplikasi atas talian ini dapat melahirkan masyarakat yang mahir dalam bidang IT. Ini kerana pelajar diberikan pendedahan mengenai penggunaan aplikasi pembelajaran atas talian. Sebagai contoh, aplikasi seperti Google Meet, Google Classroom dan Telegram. Oleh itu, kadar masalah buta IT dapat diatasi. Seterusnya, apabila ODL ini dijalankan, ianya dapat menjimatkan kos. Ini kerana kos sara hidup pelajar bagi kuliah bersemuka menelan kos yang tinggi berbanding kuliah secara atas talian. Kerana apabila pelajar berada di universiti masing-masing, kos makan, pengangkutan 100% ditanggung oleh pelajar. Dan juga terdapat segelintir pelajar yang menyewa rumah sewa kerana tidak menetap di kolej. Apabila ODL ini dijalankan, kos ini dapat dijimatkan kerana mereka tinggal bersama keluarga. Selain itu, perkongsian maklumat juga lebih efektif di mana feature istimewa seperti Google Meet ini membolehkan pensyarah mengikut sisi pembelajaran mereka. Oleh itu, pelajar yang tidak dapat menghadiri kuliah atas sebab-sebab tertentu masih boleh mendapatkan input yang sama seperti pelajar lain. Seterusnya, daripada segi kelemahan daripada ODL ini pula, seperti kita tahu, kelemahan yang paling utama adalah dari segi kebolehcapaian internet. Ini adalah kerana kekangan wujud terutamanya bagi murid yang tinggal di kawasan yang kurang mendapat liputan internet. Oleh itu, pensyarah mereka akan cuba mencari alternatif lain untuk menghubungi mereka melalui platform yang lebih sesuai seperti WhatsApp ataupun Telegram kerana penggunaan penggunaan kuota yang lebih rendah. Selain itu juga, pemilihan platform yang bersesuaian. Ini adalah penting dalam proses pembelajaran dan pengajaran. Oleh itu, pensyarah perlu mengetahui tahap kestabilan internet mereka dan juga para pelajar mereka sama ada rendah, sederhana atau tinggi sebelum memilih suatu platform yang bersesuaian. Seterusnya juga, apabila ODL ini dijalankan, pengurusan emosi dari segi mental di mana apabila pelajar berada di rumah, mereka akan mula berasa bosan kerana terkurung di rumah dan tidak dapat bertemu dengan rakan-rakan mereka. Ini kerana apabila berada di universiti, selain daripada meluangkan masa belajar, mereka juga akan lebih rapat dengan rakan-rakan, boleh outing sama-sama. Jadi disebabkan pandemik ini, mereka akan terkurung di rumah dan tak ada rakan-rakan yang boleh ajak sembang, borak dan sebagainya. Seterusnya, dari segi peluang pula, apabila ODL ini diamalkan secara tidak langsung, ianya dapat melahirkan generasi yang berkemahiran dalam pembelajaran sepanjang hayat. Di mana apabila pembelajaran secara atas talian ini diamalkan, pelajar tidak lagi bergantung kepada pensyarah semata-mata sebagai sumber ilmu. Dengan ini, pelajar akan lebih berdikari untuk mencari bahan pembelajaran mereka dan juga maklumat ini juga mudah diperoleh dengan mudah termasuklah nota dan buku elektronik daripada mana-mana sumber internet. Selain itu juga, pelajar dapat meneruskan pengajian tanpa perlu menangguh semester. Ini kerana apabila ODL ini berlaku, setengah universiti mengambil keputusan untuk menutup institusi mereka berikutan dengan atas arahan kerajaan. Dan apabila ODL ini dicadangkan, kuliah atas talian tidak melibatkan sebarang sentuhan secara fizikal dan pelajar tidak ditempatkan dalam satu bilik kuliah sama tanpa penjarakan sosial. So ini adalah sama seperti SOP yang ditetapkan oleh kerajaan supaya masing-masing tidak berada dalam keadaan yang orang kata mengamalkan norma barulah, tidak berada dekat dan tidak bersentuhan dan sebagainya. Selain itu juga, peluang lebih cerah untuk menangani penyebaran pandemik COVID. Ini kerana sektor ini terkesan daripada penularan pandemik COVID. Walaupun kelas secara tidak bersemuka, tapi pelajar masih mendapat input yang sama seperti belajar secara bersemuka. Seterusnya, ancaman kita dapat lihat dari segi kesihatan mental, mereka terjejas kerana pertama sekali seperti yang kita dapat lihat, perubahan cara belajar mereka berubah secara mendadak dan ini boleh mendorong kemurungan dan keresahan kepada para pelajar. Perubahan ini menimbulkan kerisauan bagi pelajar kerana ramai yang berasa tertekan dan risau sekiranya pembelajaran mereka terjejas. Seperti kalau kita tahu terdapat rakan-rakan kita yang mempunyai masalah internet, jadi mereka akan rasa terbeban apabila melihat rakan-rakan mereka boleh mengikuti ODL manakala mereka menghadapi masalah dan tidak dapat mengikuti kelas tersebut. Seterusnya juga jaringan internet yang kurang baik dan kekangan peralatan pelajaran. Seperti mana kita tahu, pelajar yang tinggal di luar bandar akan terkesan. Ini adalah kerana mereka ketinggalan di belakang dalam pelajaran dan ianya menghadapi kesukaran untuk menyiapkan tugas yang diberikan. Selain itu juga terdapat krisis kewangan di mana ianya menjadi beban buat mereka. Apabila ODL ini dijalankan, seperti yang kita tahu, memiliki sebuah komputer adalah seharusnya wajib bagi setiap pelajar untuk mengikuti ODL. Dan kita tahu harga komputer riba yang mahal ini akan memberi sedikit masalah kepada para pelajar yang kurang berkemampuan. Seterusnya, cadangan yang boleh ditambah baikkan bagi semasa menjalankan ODL ini adalah yang pertama, warga pendidik memberi banyak bahan rujukan kepada para pelajar, contohnya melalui laman web dan video. Kita tahu kalau kita tidak mengamalkan pembelajaran secara face to face, jadi kebanyakan pelajar akan kurang memahami apa yang cuba disampaikan oleh para pensyarah. Seperti kita tahu ada setengah kursus yang memiliki latihan praktikal di makmal. Oleh itu, apabila untuk mengelakkan daripada masalah ini berlaku, oleh itu pensyarah perlulah menyediakan pautan laman web dan video supaya para pelajar mudah memahami apabila menonton video tersebut, dan juga menambahkan beberapa contoh seperti video bagaimana melakukan secara praktikal, dan secara tidak langsung pelajar ini boleh melakukan praktikal tersebut di rumah. Dan seterusnya, warga pendidik juga merekod video berkenaan topik pembelajaran. Seperti kita tahu, aplikasi Google Meet membolehkan sisi pembelajaran yang dijalankan dirakam. Oleh itu, apabila terdapat pelajar yang ketinggalan ataupun kurang memahami apa yang lecturer sampaikan pada hari kejadian, mereka boleh mengulang tayang balik video yang dirakam itu, dan ianya dapat membantu pelajar untuk membuat persediaan bagi kuis dan juga ujian. Jadi sebagai penutup, kita boleh melihat penularan wabak ini secara positif, di mana ianya dapat mencetuskan satu semangat dan usaha yang luar biasa bagi pendidik di Malaysia, di mana mereka berusaha bagi memastikan murid-murid mereka tidak ketinggalan dalam pelajaran. Selain itu, selari dengan norma baru, pembelajaran secara atas selain ini memerlukan komitmen dan sokongan tidak terhingga ibu bapa dalam membantu pendidik dalam mendidik anak murid. Seterusnya, melibatkan usaha dan tenaga yang luar biasa di mana semua pihak, ibu bapa, pendidik dan murid perlu memberi kerjasama bagi memastikan ODL yang dijalankan itu berjalan dengan lancar. Jadi, ini adalah rujukan yang kami gunakan untuk menyiapkan slide ini. Seterusnya, ada sebarang soalan?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nurul Aini, for your presentation. Next, we may begin our 5-minute Q&A session. Yes, we have from Azlan Abdul Aziz. Assalamualaikum, soalan saya, bagaimanakah kaedah penilaian akhir dilaksanakan jika sebelum ini pelaksanaan adalah berdasarkan kertas dan pen di Dewan Peperiksaan?
Okey, seperti yang kita tahu, ODL ini dijalankan, kebanyakan universiti mengambil inisiatif lain seperti menyuruh para pelajar mereka menyiapkan assessment. Dan seperti kita tahu, pada sem lepas, kebanyakan kursus tidak menjalankan pemeriksaan dalam dewan, dan antara alternatif lain seperti melakukan quiz, menyiapkan assignment dan beberapa assessment lah yang membolehkan pensyarah memberi markah kepada pelajar walaupun tidak melakukan peperiksaan secara bersemuka.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Okay, next, one more question. Pada pendapat anda, berapa lamakah pembelajaran ODL ini wajar diteruskan? Bagaimana pula bagi mereka yang belajar yang memerlukan hands-on experience?
Bagi saya, ODL ini wajar diteruskan dalam sementara negara menghadapi krisis bagi membolehkan kita sebagai rakyat untuk menyekam penyebaran COVID ini. Tapi seperti kita tahu, pada minggu depan kita akan, bagi pelajar UiTM, tidak lama lagi kita akan memulakan semester baru. So bagi tempat saya pula, di mana tempat saya terdiri daripada Fakulti Farmasi dan juga Sains Kesihatan. So kalau bagi tempat kami, sesetengah khusus yang mana membolehkan mereka melakukan ODL, lecturer akan melakukan kelas secara ODL. Tapi sesetengah khusus yang mana melibatkan makmal dan juga latihan seperti hands-on experience, So mereka tetap akan ada latihan seperti di lab, makmal dan juga my banking di U. Tapi mungkin mereka lecturer akan mengikuti prosedur SOP yang telah ditetapkan seperti mungkin meminimumkan ke dalam satu bengkel tu akan ada 5 ataupun 6 orang pelajar. So mereka akan melakukan latihan itu secara bergila-gila. So tanpa disebabkan itu saya rasa DL ini tak ada masalah lah bagi setengah subjek yang kita belajar secara orang kata kita belajar basic saja macam nak tahu apa itu point dan sebagai pencerahan dan bagi praktikal pula tetap akan ada latihan di bengkel dan makmal.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nuraini, for your answer for those questions, and thank you, Danny Ahmad and Azlan Abdulaziz, for your questions just now. And thank you once again for Ms. Nuraini for your presentation, and good luck for your academic semester. Next, we would like to call the next presenter, Sutida Chang from University College London of Thailand, with the title Enhancing Leadership Through Successful Change Management, a study of education transition during COVID-19. Please, welcome.
Can I check that you all can hear me? Okay, so mic check. Okay. So first of all, thank you for accepting my abstract, and it's an honor to be part of this presentation. So my theme is online distance education with the working title Enhancing Leadership Through Successful Change Management. And I'll be studying the case of education transition mostly in Thailand during COVID-19. So this will be the general outline of the presentation. I will be introducing the context, the main theory, as well as giving a SWOT analysis of the situation. So my research question, based on the title, is using the COVID-19 Thai education transition as a case study, how can successful change management be a catalyst for student leadership development? So loosely to define the relationship between change management and student leadership, I would define change management as the ability to adapt to new situations, to cope from disruption challenges, and to recover from the setbacks. So basically in this context, it's the ability for students to navigate new situations. And to define student leadership, we could say that it is to empower students to become active learners who take control of their own education, who take initiative to seek out new opportunities, new ways of doing things, and to take ownership of their education, of their own development. So when we see these two concepts interact, it really reflects a huge thing of resilience. And when we talk about change management, which will be the general theory that I'll be using to throughout this paper, we refer to Kotter's 8-step model of change based on his book published in 1995. So there are 8 steps of how change happens or how to create sustainable change. First step is to create a sense of urgency to respond to that change or that external stimulus. Second part is to build a working group, people who share the same vision. And then it's important for leaders to create a strategy to communicate the vision so that you can empower other people to take action. And then next is to devise short-term plans, easy, measurable, smart goals that can be used Yeah. And then next is to maintain the enthusiasm to create change, to make sure that a change will be sustainable. And finally, to make that change a permanent part of your organization. Yeah. Okay. So, when we kind of think of the world today, we think of a highly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. There are a lot of changes that are happening rapidly and unprecedented changes, so we don't really know what to expect, and we can't use old models to predict what would happen in the future. So, coming to the case study then, the COVID 19 situation, pandemic, is an external stimulus that has resulted in volatile changes in uncertainty in a lot of different sectors and areas, then especially in the education discipline. So based on a research, which I did was qualitative research based on secondary materials, secondary resources, news articles, journal articles, interviews, and surveys that other organizations have undertaken during the pandemic period, we can generally analyze that before the pandemic period, the old normal, we had face-to-face teaching, which carried out in schools. Of course, there was use of sorry. Of course, there was use of slide technology and making class more engaging. But most of teaching and learning was in schools in physical in situations. Sorry. So and then when the pandemic happened, social distancing was recommended, and in the case of Thailand, we led to school closures. And in certain countries, although certain schools are being reopened, most of them are still closed due to not wanting schools to become clusters of infection. And because of this change, we're transitioning the whole education module, the whole education format, assessment format into this online form. And that's why we have to think about how does an external stimulus like the COVID pandemic impact the entire education ecosystem. In the case of Thailand, this education transition has used the below forms of Zoom classes, pre-recorded videos, Moodle forums or like Moodle databases, and instant messaging applications like Line, WhatsApp to communicate class content to students who are now studying from home. And because Thailand has sort of a wealth disparity where, let's say, people in central in Bangkok are better well off in terms of access to resources and internet connection, so the Thai government has also rolled out education programs to be broadcasted on television to make sure that students who are far away from the center of the country, who don't have access to laptops or internet connection, are able to continue to access information to continue their education. So with this background, with performance SWOT analysis based on the findings from the research as well as on research design. So firstly about the strength, I would argue that the strength of the research design is that it is very time sensitive. It is an ongoing topic, and of incredible importance, so there is a large data set available for me to get information from. And in terms of the strengths from the paper, it is a critical analysis of the process of education transition in Thailand using the culture's change model. The paper also identifies how students can participate, can build their leadership skills in taking ownership of their education through each step of education transition model. And of course, because COVID-19 is continuing to change, it's an ongoing issue, online distance learning will be, the main area to focus on for the foreseeable future. So the findings from this paper contributes to how ODL practices are being developed to help students have a more efficient online learning ecosystem. In terms of weaknesses in the research design, there is of course a time constraint. There wasn't enough time for me personally to conduct primary research, so like I mentioned, I used a qualitative methodology using secondary resources from journal articles, news articles, and organizational reports. So of course, as the author, I would try to maintain neutrality and in terms of research ethics would not distort any of the information to attain at any specific outcomes. However, for this kind of publications, there is always a risk of the authors being biased or having a subconscious bias towards any of the situations. So that is also in part that I would consider under the limitations of the research design. As for the weakness of the paper, so I focus on education transition and the role of student leadership in enabling this process. So there was sort of like a one-sided focus, did not engage with multiple perspectives, like perspectives from educators, from parents, from the university leadership, as well as from policymakers. And the weakness in terms of time frame is, although it has been 9 months into the pandemic, so because it is an ongoing and continuously evolving situation, we can't be sure what the future will hold. Perhaps conclusion reached today might not apply in the future. So moving on to the opportunities. So because of the timeliness of the situation, there's an opportunity for this research, for further research to be held in the long term, perhaps over a year, 2 years, or 5 years, when we look back at 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic, and how that has impacted education transition, and whether online distance learning can be here forever. We could also have the opportunity to use additional data sets. As I mentioned, for this paper alone, I focus on Thailand as a case study. So we could always compare different countries, different ASEAN countries, that would mean different regions, perhaps in ASEAN, in Europe, in India, and in East Asia. So, analyzing different data sets and different regions, we could sort of try to see or infer a trend, perhaps the rate of uptake or rate of student satisfaction or the rate of teaching success. Could it fit into specific socio-economic trends? Perhaps countries with higher GDP would have a more successful transition to education or demographic trends.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, Ms. Sutira Chang, but you have 10 more minutes for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Okay. And in terms of opportunities for the paper, from the findings, it could perhaps say that the COVID-19 situation could be sort of like a refresh button. We're talking about this new normal now, so clearly the old way, the traditions, some have to change to better fit into the new way that the global society functions and works. It could be an opportunity for educators, for policymakers, to really see the potential of student led learning, of students developing a voice, taking initiative to formulate their own education system. And it's also an opportunity for students to develop essential skills, soft skills and hard skills, especially when it comes to leadership, communication, time management. All these are skills that perhaps students can develop from taking classes online, especially during a pandemic like this. So in terms of the threats, like I've mentioned earlier, there is a socioeconomic gap within the country. So I've put this into two areas. One is digital elitism, and two, its old habits are hard to change. So for digital elitism, there is a digital gap, of course, that is born out of the poverty gap. So with digital gaps, not all students or not even all education institutes, teachers, or schools have access to digital technology. For example, according to a research done earlier this year, up to 80% of Thai teachers do not know how to manage or use technology in their daily classroom teachings. But because of this pandemic situation, so this group of educators, not only students but educators, have to find new ways, which there's also going to be this learning gap. So that could impact the delivery and result of online education. And of course, the access to resources, more well-off students and families will be able to afford computers, internet connection, and for example, for sometimes when we have to submit an assignment digitally, we have to take photographs to upload to a certain platform. So students may not have access to cameras for the purpose. So overall, digital elitism is a huge threat to the implementation and successful delivery of online distance learning in the country. And secondly, its old habits or customs. In the Asian context, I would argue that the face culture, not wanting to lose face, you know, negatively impacts how successful online distance learning could be. There's the fear of the unknown that makes educators or institutes unwilling to change into the new normal to adapt as quickly to new developing trends. There's also a lack of information because of how sudden and how new the situation is. And of course, there's a fear of failure. Because of institutions and their reputation, they can't really afford to fail when they can't deliver online distance education successfully to their students. And of course, there's a culture of hierarchy. So, really, students, or perhaps let's say teachers, individual teachers, may find that they have limited decision power on how online distance education formats, examination formats are run. So, that could also impede the success of this education transition. So the solution is to that is of course to reform education, which isn't easy, but when we're entering this new normal, there can be new opportunities to reform the current way, and that comes from different aspects. So of course we have to start from teacher training. Teachers have to be trained in pedagogy, how they're going to carry out lessons, how they're going to assess students based on their learning outcomes. And there could be a reform, there should be a reform for students to take more role in experiential learning outside of the classroom and to incorporate student input, feedback, ideas, and suggestions into how the education works, especially into what kind of subjects that students want to study and how they want to be assessed. And of course, as we move into this post-COVID recovery period, technology will play a huge part. Thailand has a national strategy of called Thailand 4.0 to change our current economy into an innovation-based economy format. So the use of technology and innovation will be extremely important, and this will be a great opportunity for technology to be incorporated into all levels of Thai society, especially in education, to facilitate student learning. And the other aspect, point two, comes from the student's perspective. How can we enable students to transition smoother to the ODL model? First, we talk about change management. So personal leadership development of students it's particularly important. Knowing how to take initiative for your own learning, for your own assessment, how to be resilient towards situations like this, recover from changes, happenings, disruptions, how to manage stress. Essential skills, but will help a student to be able to cope with the ongoing situation. And it's also important to make sure that students are able to utilize multiple resources, whether online, through books, and also through discussing issues with their peers. So peer mentorship is also important, especially when it comes to young people, young students who are craving social interaction. And finally, for students to transition to ODL and for schools to successfully deliver this new model, regular feedback is important to make sure that there's a regular check on how things are going, on whether their approaches are successful, are meaningful, and effective in delivering content and assessing student feedback. So, to conclude, the COVID-19 situation has definitely disrupted this traditional model of education because of social distancing, of school closures, of transitioning to online learning. Basically, the entire model, an entire traditional system has been changed. And as a result, schools, educators, they have to transition to online distance learning because learning doesn't stop. You can't really stop students from learning new information. That would be detrimental to the development of the country and for the future of an entire generation. But when we're seeing all these transitions, changes in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world like right now during a pandemic can be intimidating due to various factors. Either it is lack of information, lack of experience, or just plainly the lack of failure. So the changes can be intimidating and therefore it poses new challenges for all the stakeholders involved. So not only students have issues or challenges in coping with the new situation, educators, parents, policymakers, they all face different kinds of challenges when we're transitioning to online distance learning. But however, through successful change management, going through Kota's model of the 8 step change process and developing leadership skills, developing resilience, that will be a key to overcome this uncertainty. Policymakers can be more confident in rolling out policies for education success. Educators with resilience can be able to manage classrooms better, especially when it comes to online teaching. And students, when more resilient, can overcome the situation to cope with the stress and continue their learning. So there's no too much of a negative impact due to the pandemic. These are list of references, and that's the end of my presentation. So I welcome any questions. Thank you.
Okay, we may begin a 5-minute Q&A session with Sridhar Chang. Okay, we have one. How, from Danny Ahmad, how is the implementation of open distance learning ODL and the students' reaction in Thailand when it was announced, and how long is it due to go on?
So it was announced in early March because of kind of went into this lockdown in the late of March. So 2 weeks later, schools were closed. So and it was, of course, of the poverty gap. Like international schools or better funded schools had more access to resources and more teachers had more capacity to be able to deliver online education. So, of course, that's not the case for all parts of Thailand or even in Bangkok, where schools have different access to resources. So, for other regions, the government actually had broadcasted these pre-recorded videos of classroom interaction on the national TV channels. And of course, for students who are at home with multiple siblings, multiple ages, they were unable to share one TV screen, let's say across 3 different channels. So the reception to ODL wasn't that successful. There was a lot of challenges to how all students can access information, to access quality content, especially. But let's say for my university, my classmates who were still studying undergraduate studies, the university being international college, they had resources, students were more well off, they had laptop computers or internet connections at homes, so they were all able to access Zoom lectures. And as of now, some schools have reopened in early July, but the TV broadcasts are still going on due to the continuing evolving situation. So yeah. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for answering the questions, Sridhar Chang. Okay, and thank you. It was a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess there's no more question for you. That was from Ms. Sudhira Chang from University College London, Thailand, with the title Enhancing Leadership Through Successful Change Management and Study of Education Transition During COVID-19. Next, we're moving on with the next presenter. I would like to call Nur Aiman Sohaidi bin Norizam, University Teknologi Mara, Campus Shah Alam Salang, Malaysia, representing College Perindu with the title Norma Baru Belajar dalam Menuntut Ilmu. Please welcome.
Okey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Untuk pertama sekali saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada saudara moderator iaitu Adib Syazani. Jadi pada hari ini saya akan membentangkan sebuah tajuk iaitu norma baharu pelajar dalam menuntut ilmu. Jadi kita lihat next. Okay, next. Kita tengok pada struktur pembentangan. Okay. Pertama sekali kita akan tengok pengenalan. Kedua, kita akan tengok kekuatan. Ketiga, kita akan tengok kelemahan. Seterusnya, peluang, ancaman, cadangan, penutup dan rujukan. Jadi kita tengok yang pertama, iaitu pengenalan. Open distance learning ni adalah satu cara pembelajaran secara atas talian atau maya di mana seseorang itu tidak perlu bertemu secara bersemuka. Bermaksud di sini kita sebagai pelajar kita tidak perlu menjalankan pembelajaran bersemuka, just secara online sahaja. Dan ODL ni juga telah menjadi satu norma baharu bagi pelajar di seluruh dunia setelah wabak pandemik COVID-19 menular ke seluruh dunia. Pelajar perlu belajar secara atas talian dengan menggunakan sumber-sumber yang bersesuaian seperti komputer riba atau telefon bimbit bagi memutuskan rantaian COVID-19 ini dan mengurangkan risiko diri kita daripada dijangkiti oleh virus tersebut. Seterusnya, okay, kita lihat sebelum dan semasa pandemik COVID-19 ini menular di dunia. Sebelum pula, kita belajar dengan cara bersemuka. Bermaksud kita jumpa depan-depan, kita jumpa kawan-kawan kita jumpa pensyarah. Macam sebelum-sebelum ni juga kelas macam biasa, kita duduk, datang ke kelas, datang fakulti dan kita belajar secara bersemuka, direct teruslah. Okay. Dan semasa pandemik juga, pandemik pula, pembelajaran tu dah berubah iaitu ke arah secara atas talian. Okay. Disebabkan pandemik COVID-19 ni orang kata boleh merebak dengan cepatnya. Jadi kita gunakan online distance learning ni untuk cara untuk mengurangkan lagi wabak itu merebak. Okay. Yang kedua pula, kurang menggunakan internet. Sebelum itu pun kita sedia maklum bahawa sebelum pandemik ni ada, kita hanya gunakan internet untuk mencari sumber maklumat ataupun WhatsApp kepada lecturer, bertanya selepas kelas tamat. Itu dan pula banyak menggunakan internet kerana fully memang kita akan gunakan internet sebabnya kelas online dan online juga memerlukan internet, dan selepas kelas kita membuat assignment dan sebagainya pun menggunakan internet. Jadi penggunaan internet tu memang nak dikatakan 100% lah secara pembelajaran tu. Okay, yang ketiga pula, mudah untuk bersemuka dengan pensyarah untuk menanyakan soalan. Okey. Macam saya maklumkan tadi, beritahu tadi bahawa kita sebelum pandemik kita boleh bersemuka. Jadi orang kata face to face ni adalah lagi baik kerana kita boleh memahami lebih, orang kata lebih lagi apa yang kita tak faham berkaitan dengan apa yang kita belajar. Okey, semasa pandemik pula ia menjadi sukar untuk berhubung dengan pensyarah. Okey, contohnya waktu pandemik hari tu PKP 1, 2, 3 kita tak boleh keluar rumah. Okey, kita tak boleh keluar rumah. Dan pelajar-pelajar hanya duduk di rumah dan lecturer pun duduk di rumah. Okey. Jadi bila ada antara pelajar ataupun antara lecturer yang mengalami masalah line internet, itu agak menjadi sukarlah untuk pelajar bertanya kepada lecturer lah. Ada juga lecturer saya, dia rumahnya memang line teruk, jadi untuk kami student nak bertanya kepada dia pun kurang, orang kata tak boleh nak dapat secara ni lah, perinci lah tentang apa yang dah ditugaskan. Jadi itu yang menjadi masalahnya waktu pandemik ni. So seterusnya, kekuatan. Okey, kekuatan ni pula, pelajar dapat mengakses sumber pembelajaran di mana-mana dan pada bila masa sahaja. Okey, ini bermaksud sumber pembelajaran kita dapat akses di hujung jari saja. Di hujung jari saja. Dan semuanya berada di dalam internet. So far kita kena guna, macam saya cakap, memang kita gunakan 100% internet untuk mencari sumber-sumber untuk kita lengkapkan tugasan yang telah diberikan oleh lecturer. Yang kedua pula, pelajar tidak perlu bergegas untuk kelas. Jadinya pelajar ni, kita pelajar tak perlulah orang kata bergegas nak pergi ke kelas. Okey, sekarang ni kita guna online saja. So online ni macam kadang-kadang ada student jenis bangun pagi terus join kelas online tu, tanpa mandi, tanpa sarapan apa semua. Jadi diorang tak tergesa-gesa lah untuk join kelas tu. Yang ketiga pula, pelajar dapat menggunakan telefon bimbit jika tiada komputer riba. Okey, ini bermaksud sekiranya ada pelajar tu tiada komputer riba, dia boleh gunakan handphone, smartphone lah. Smartphone yang boleh digunakan untuk mereka pelajar ni join kelas dan sebagainya. Dan di telefon bimbit juga kita dalam macam App Store, Google Play, kita ada juga apps-apps yang boleh orang kata pelajar ni akses untuk buat assignment direct terus kat handphone dan sebagainya. Seterusnya adalah kelemahan. Kelemahan yang pertama ialah ketiadaan medium pembelajaran. Okey, ketiadaan medium pembelajaran ni contohnya macam ada pelajar jenis yang ada komputer riba, telefon pula jenis orang kata pelajar ni adalah dalam kategori B40. Okey, dalam B40. Dia tiada komputer dan dia mungkin tiada handphone dan sebagainya. Itu menyebabkan kesukaran pelajar tersebut untuk menghadiri kelas. Yang kedua pula, keadaan tempat belajar yang tidak selesa. Okey, ini bukan saya saja yang merasai, saya rasa semua pelajar merasai, iaitu kita belajar di rumah. Jadi suasana di rumah dan suasana di fakulti, di kelas lain, berbeza. Yalah, waktu kita belajar di fakulti, kita dengan rakan-rakan kita, lecturer kita, pensyarah kita, jadi itu adalah orang kata suasana belajar kita. Tapi bila kita belajar di rumah, itu menjadi orang kata susah lah, sebab yalah kita kena, orang cakap macam mana, kadang-kadang ada mak ayah kita suruh kita tolong ambil adik, tolong masak, tolong membasuh pinggan, rumah-rumah sebagainya. Itu yang menjadi masalah kita pelajar apabila kita belajar di rumah. Okey, itulah yang macam keadaan tidak selesa. Kadang kita tengah online kelas, adik kita kacau-kacau kita kat belakang. Jadi terpaksa, itulah nak buat macam mana kan. So itulah masalah kelemahan ODL ni kepada student. Yang ketiga pula, kondisi rangkaian internet. Okey, kondisi rangkaian internet ni saya dimaklumkan setengah tempat je lah, setengah tempat yang mengalami coverage line yang amat teruk. Okey, yang amat teruk. Dan ada yang lagi teruk adalah memang tak ada line langsung. Ada satu pelajar tu yang saya tahu, diorang rumah dia memang tak ada line langsung. Jadi pelajar tersebut tak dapat nak join kelas sepanjang pandemik COVID-19 ni menular.
Itulah masalahnya. Yang keempat pula, mesej yang disampaikan tidak jelas. Okey, macamnya, contohnya, kalau lecturer tu maklumkan sesuatu, kita sebenarnya kalau benda ni melalui daripada alam maya, daripada handphone dan sebagainya, benda tu macam mana cakap, dia kurang, kita kurang dapat info yang tepat. Macam itulah. Jadi kadang-kadang arahan yang diberikan oleh lecturer tu kita kurang jelas, dan kadang-kadang kita nak minta confirmation balik ataupun nak minta penjelasan balik pun, kita check lecturer pun, kadang-kadang lecturer pun diorang pun ada orang kata komitmen di rumah, contohnya macam nak jaga anak, nak kemas rumah, masak semuanya. Jadi bila kita tanya pada lecturer tu pun kadang-kadang tak menjawab, tak sempat jawab, lambat jawab. Yang tak menjawab tu lagilah kita tak boleh nak buat apa, sebab kita kena faham lecturer pun macam kita juga, pelajar yang di mana kita berada di rumah, kita ada komitmen lain. Komitmen sebagai kalau lecturer lelaki lagilah ketua keluarga. Itulah mesej yang disampaikan tu, itu tidak jelas. Okey, terusnya kita akan tengok. Okey, ini adalah gambaran di mana sepanjang PKP hari itu, pihak UiTM, Universiti Teknologi Mara, telah memberi orang kata bantuan lah, memberi sedikit sumbangan berbentuk wang kepada pelajar yang tidak berkemampuan untuk mereka membeli plan data internet. Jadi saya juga salah seorang yang menerima sumbangan tersebut, dan sumbangan tersebut bernilai RM120 untuk kami pelajar untuk membeli plan data itulah. Jadi alhamdulillah lah, dengan sumbangan ini orang kata dapatlah meringankan sikit beban pelajar untuk membeli plan.
Mr. Aiman,
Ya.
1 more minute for your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So itulah pihak UiTM, alhamdulillah lah pihak UiTM memberi sumbangan tersebut, dan kita pun pelajar yang kurang berkemampuan ni pun dapat meringankan beban kita. Okay, seterusnya, ini adalah salah satu tata cara permohonan bantuan yang UiTM bagilah kepada pelajar-pelajar UiTM sahaja. Okay. Dan ini pula adalah SIM card Yes. Ini juga saya mohon juga, alhamdulillah saya dapat, dan dalam SIM card ni dia beri 40 GB percuma untuk pelajar menjalani kelas ODL pada semester hadapan. Okey, 4. Tengok pada peluang pula. Kami di pihak Jabatan Kuasa Perwakilan Kolej, pada awal pandemik kami biasanya lah, sebelum-sebelum ni kami menjalankan program untuk student, untuk kebajikan student secara fizikal. Tapi disebabkan pandemik ni, jadi kami ambil cara baru untuk melaksanakan program untuk meneruskan kebajikan pelajar, iaitu kami gunakan cara online program, yang salah satunya adalah live Instagram berkenaan dengan pendidikan yang telah dijalankan oleh pihak Jawatan Kuasa Perwakilan Kolej Perindu. Jadi antaranya adalah recording for online learning in times of crisis with Dr. Zainuddin Ibrahim. Okay, di sini kita orang kata belajarlah cara orang kata menyelesaikan krisis dengan kelas online learning ni. Dan keduanya adalah ethic and distance education, strategy for minimizing academic dishonesty in online assessment with Dr. Syamsul Nur Azlan Muhammad. Okay, so seterusnya adalah program-program promoting academic in online distance. Seterusnya norma baharu PKP bersama dengan Profesor Madya Dr. Hajar Zuraida Ibrahim, dan seterusnya global teacher pricing panic gogi, dan seterusnya adalah program saving versus expenses in new norm with glory. Jadi program-program yang kami jalankan ni adalah salah satu cara baru kami dan alhamdulillah kami pihak Jawatan Kuasa Perwakilan Kolej, sesi ini adalah merupakan sesi pertama yang melaksanakan program untuk pelajar. Jadi kami tetap menjalankan program walaupun dalam situasi pandemik COVID-19 ni. Yang kelima pula, ancaman. Okey, pada ancaman pula akan berlaku gejala plagiat. Okey, rasanya lah macam mana kita cakap plagiat ni pun student semua akan buat juga sebab waktu pandemik, kalau kita tengok keadaan situasi waktu PKP hari tu, kita tak boleh nak keluar ke mana. Library tutup, kawasan-kawasan seperti tempat rekreasi pun tutup, tempat-tempat untuk kita buat site visit pun tutup. Jadi pelajar, mereka tidak dapat pergi ke sana untuk dapatkan information. Just mereka dapat information melalui daripada internet saja. Jadi student Google cari maklumat dan copy and paste. Itu yang orang kata mampu yang pelajar buat. Itulah. Yang kedua pula adalah pelajar yang tidak bertanggungjawab, tidak menghadiri kelas. Okey, ini tidak, walaupun online kelas, ada juga pelajar yang tidak menghadiri kelas. Contohnya macam kelas pagi, kebiasaannya lah kelas pagi yang bermula pada jam 8 pagi atau 9 pagi. Kebanyakan student dia tak hadir ke kelas kerana terlajak tidur. Mungkin malam tadi mereka buat assignment, buat kerja-kerja lain lah, jaga adik ke apa ke, mungkin mereka tidur lewat. Jadinya pada esok hari kelasnya mereka tak dapat nak hadir kerana terlajak tidur. Itu kebiasaan je. Lepas tu ada lagi satu pelajar tu jenis dia join online kelas tu, tapi dia off screen dan dia sebenarnya pada hakikinya dia tak join ke kelas tu. Dia just join saja, tapi dia punya badan dia berada di tempat lain, bukan berada di depan kamera, laptop dan sebagainya. Itulah. Yang ketiga pula, pelajar mengambil kesempatan akan kelas atas talian. Macam saya sebut tadi itulah. Dia join saja kelas tu, tapi badan dia tak ada di depan kamera. Dia berada di tempat lain lah. Lepas tu dia off screen saja. So lecturer pun tahu dia sekarang berada di mana, dia tengah buat apa, macam mana reaksi dia. Itulah, pelajar mengambil kesempatan akan kelas atas talian. So seterusnya, cadangan. Okey, cadangan yang pertama ialah memperketatkan lagi peraturan dalam penghantaran kerja dan projek. Okey, perketatkan lagi ni maksud dia bagi pandangan saya lah. Setiap lecturer, pensyarah perlu orang kata memaklumkan lah bahawa mereka boleh tahu dan mereka boleh detect berapa banyak plagiat yang pelajar ni buat. Okey. So yang kedua ialah membuat survey kepada pelajar untuk mengetahui masalah yang dihadapi oleh pelajar agar pihak atasan dapat memberi solusi yang sewajarnya. Okey. Untuk survey ni juga saya juga merupakan wakil pelajar untuk saya punya pusat pengajian. Jadi alhamdulillah, ketua pusat pengajian saya setiap kali 1 bulan sekali, saya tak silap saya lah, sebulan sekali dia akan buat satu meeting dengan semua wakil pelajar termasuk saya, dan pada waktu meeting hari tu juga saya dan rakan-rakan wakil yang lain akan mengadulah, memberi tahu apa yang masalah yang kami hadapi online kelas ni. Okey. So dengan cara beginilah mereka, lecturer, para pensyarah, mereka dapatlah orang kata memberi sedikit kelonggaran kepada student yang mempunyai masalah coverage line dan sebagainya. So seterusnya yang terakhir adalah penutup. Penutupnya lah, pelajar seharusnya membiasakan diri dengan norma baru pembelajaran kita kerana kita tidak tahu bila berakhirnya wabak pandemik COVID-19 ini. Mungkin terdapat hikmah yang berlaku di sebalik wabak pandemik ini. Jadi untuk penutup ini adalah sebuah norma baru Dan norma baru ni pada mulanya memang orang kata macam longgar macam apa tu, tak biasa kan. Jadi lama kelamaan benda ni akan menjadi kebiasaan kita. Jadi nak tak nak kita kena hadapi je lah, kena buat, tak kena buat, sebab benda ni orang kata mungkin akan melahirkan sebuah mahasiswa yang orang kata apa, fahaman terhadap IT tu tinggi. Okey, untuk orang kata bolehlah menjadikan sebuah negara yang mempunyai rakyat yang mempunyai pengetahuan IT yang tinggi. Jadi ini adalah salah satu caranya. Okey. So itu saja daripada saya. So next kepada sesi soal jawab.
Okay, next we're moving on to the 5-minute Q&A session. Okay, from Danny Ahmad, pada pendapat anda, mengapa berlakunya masalah seperti pelajar kurang bersemangat belajar kerana ODL dan mereka cenderung untuk menakutkan pengajian orang ODL ini sebenarnya lebih senang?
Okey, pendapat saya lah, mengapa berlakunya masalah seperti pelajar kurang bersemangat untuk belajar kerana ODL, mereka cenderung untuk menangguhkan pengajian walaupun ODL ini sebenarnya lebih senang. Okey, bagi pendapat saya lah, macam di kawasan rumah saya memang coverage line memang teruk. Jadi kadang satu kelas tu dia gunakan satu platform iaitu Google Meet. Jadi kita join kelas tu, Google Meet tu, internet ni bila dia memang very slow, kita keluar. Maksud kita bila keluar kita masuk dia, lepas tu balik. Jadi macam stres, macam tak semangat lah nak join kelas tu. Sebab yelah keluar masuk, lepas tu lecturer tengah bercakap, kita pula memang sungguh tengah dengar. Tapi bila semua tengah dengar tu, keluar terus. Tapi macam kita, terlepas pandang pula, terlepas yang penting pula. So, itulah yang kenapa pelajar ni kurang bersemangat. Dan ada juga pelajar yang cenderung untuk melakukan pengajian kerana mereka mungkin takut waktu final test nanti pun, ketika final test berjalan pun takut masalah lain internet. Mungkin kemungkinan final test diorang ketika mereka jawab tiba-tiba internet tak dapat, terus terpadam ke, so jawapan diorang tak dapat sampai. Mungkin mereka nak mengamalkan pointer diorang lah pada semester pandemik tu. Okay. So lagi satu untuk dia pula kurang pelajar yang macam berada di kawasan yang lain internet lemah ni juga, mereka perlu keluar mungkin pergi ke pekan atau bandar untuk mendapatkan line internet yang lebih baik lagi. Jadi benda tu memerlukan pergerakan, dan pada kita maklumkan bahawa PKP pun kita sebenarnya tak boleh keluar. Tapi ada kawan saya yang macam terpaksa keluar dan pada ketika tengah kelas tu polis datang kepada dia dan suruh balik. Pihak polis pun tanyalah buat apa dekat sini, dan kawan saya pula cakap tengah ada kelas ni tuan. Jadi itulah polis tu cakap kalau nak kelas online ke apa duduk di rumah. Jadi itulah orang kata benda itu pun menyebabkan semangat untuk kita belajar kurang. Itu sebab benda jadi halangan untuk kita menuntut ilmu. Okey. Tapi orang cakap apa? Ilmu ni kita kena cari. Bukan ilmu ni datang pada kita kena datang pada ilmu. Kita kena mencari ilmu. Jadi kita kena usaha untuk dapatkan ilmu tu. Itu sebablah kita, dengan usaha kita tu kadang-kadang disebabkan situasi COVID-19 ni, Jadi benda tu tak dapat nak diusahakan dengan cara sendiri. Okey, itu saja.
So more questions from Jasmine Suhaimi. Is it okay for lecturer to do class on the weekend? Can students not join the class and just access it, the learning material that lecturer must prepare, or they are compulsory to join the class?
Minggu sebenarnya saya as a student pun not okay lah, sebab yelah supaya kita daripada hari Isnin sampailah hari Jumaat kita orang kita berada di depan PC, berpagi petang. Kadang-kadang kalau malam tu kalau ada lecturer buat kelas tambahan ke apa, itu pun kita kena menghadap jugalah. Tapi untuk Sabtu Ahad tu kalau lecturer nak buat kelas tu, lecturer saya dia nak buat kelas pada Sabtu Ahad, tapi saya dia nak rehat. Dan kalau Sabtu Ahad ni pula kita nak spend time dengan family, nak buat kerja di rumah dan sebagainya. Dan Sabtu Ahad tu juga kita orang kata masa untuk kita menyiapkanlah tugasan yang telah diberikan oleh lecturer tersebut. Saya tak apa okey lah kalau kelas tu dia bawa ke Sabtu dengan Ahad. Jawab tak soalan?
Yes, it's very clear for your opinions. We've got one more question, I guess. Yes. From Firti Fitri, adakah perlu diteruskan bantuan internet dan kewangan disebabkan semester baru yang juga dijalani dalam ODL ada beberapa kursus? Mungkin terdapat sedikit penambahbaikan dari perkara itu.
Okey, adakah perlu diteruskan bantuan internet ni? Okey, berkaitan dengan ini saya amat setuju. Amat setuju kerana yelah sekarang ni kalau kita tengok tagline kita UiTM prihatin. Jadi UiTM prihatin kepada student. Prihatin dia akan meneruskanlah bantuan-bantuan dan ringankan beban-beban pelajar ini. Jadi memang setuju sangat bantuan internet kewangan ni diteruskan pada semester depan. Kalau untuk penambahbaikan tu cumanya mungkin kewangan bantuan internet tu untuk beli data internet tu ditambah lagi. Ditambah lagi sebab macam kita memerlukan kita menggunakan 90% atau 100% internet. Jadi atau satu bulan kita boleh cerita dalam, kalau internet tu boleh cerita dalam 60-80 ringgit. So my opinion kewangan ni, bantuan kewangan ni perlu ditambahkan untuk pelajar kurang orang kata kuranglah beban mereka untuk membeli plan data untuk join kelas ODL. Itu saja.
Thank you for Jasmine Suhaimi, Danny for your questions, and thank you to Mr. Aiman for the presentation and your questions.
Okay, that's from
with the title Norma Baru Belajar dalam Menuntut Ilmu. Next, I would like to call the last presenter for today. Let's welcome Muhammad Deskia Alinadia Putra from Universitas Padjadjaran with the title A Shift from Classroom Online Distance Learning Illuminating the Existence of English in ASEAN.
I'm going to wait until the PowerPoint slide is shown by my friend. Thank you. Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all of us. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the committees for allowing us and providing us platform to exchange ideas and also perspectives. My name is Muhammad Desgia Adinadia Putra, and I'm from Indonesia, and I proudly represent Universitas Pajajaran. Allow me to start this presentation with a quote coming from a Canadian-American motivational public speaker, Brian Tracy. He once said, "The true test of leadership is how well you function in a crisis." And that reflects the discussion I'm going to present today. Next slide, please. So given the situation today, we are challenged and confronted with a number of crises, including the global health crisis, which is happening right now, which is the COVID-19. So I think it's the time, it is the right time for us, the students, to partake in the movement and also demonstrate our leadership skills in dealing with the challenges. In order to define the roles of student leadership in facing the pandemic COVID-19, I'd like to present a paper written by myself and Bunga Bilau Dadiresa with the title, A Shift from Classroom to Online Distance Learning, Illuminating the Existence of English in ASEAN. Next slide, please. So here's the structure of today's presentation. It encompasses the background of problem identification, SWOT analysis, and definitely the solution that we propose. Next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed to further discussion to the deep depth of today's discussion, I'd like to ask a very simple question. What is the first thing crosses in your mind when I say English language and Asian countries? Some might think that, oh, some countries in Asia use English as their national language, or oh, some citizens in specific countries, they're very fluent in speaking English. There are so many things that we can discuss when it comes to English language and also Asian countries. And let's find out more about this. Next slide, please. In Asia, English language serves the various roles such as being the official and semi-official language, as a medium of instruction, as a school subject, something that we are very excited to study at school, and also as the lingua franca. Recognizing the roles of English in Asia, in the region of Asia, we all understand and we come up with an understanding that English plays such an important role in the contemporary world, especially in Asia region. Next slide, please. After Asia, let's talk about our home, our region, Southeast Asia. It is evident that ASEAN is globally recognized as one of the most diverse regions in the world and home of hundreds of spoken languages. There are 10 different countries in ASEAN and we share different cultures, different languages. For example, in Indonesia itself, we have Bahasa Indonesia and more than 700 vernaculars widely spread throughout Indonesia. So people speak in different languages. So it's a very diverse. And English itself in ASEAN, it became the official lingua franca in 2009. And although its unofficial currency was much earlier, and probably people would question, is there any debate or conflict when we decided to make English as the official lingua franca in ASEAN? The fact is that the choice of English had been made in ASEAN naturally with neither objections nor debates from any parties. So it's widely accepted and it's well accepted by all ASEAN countries. Next slide, please. Now, another question rises up. In what aspects does English language appear? There are so many aspects that can connect to the use of English. And some aspects are economy, education, and tourism. And we're going to learn more about one by one now. In terms of economy, there's a very clear framework or correlation between English proficiency and also economic competitiveness, both at the country and individual levels. Countries with higher proficiency tend to have higher average incomes, a better quality of life, and greater investment in research and development. And also, in another side of economy, about the employment, English language is considered to be one of the most important working skills since the demand for English-speaking workers has been growing so strong in the past few decades. That's for the economy. Let's move on to the part of education. I'm just going to make it different compared to the previous discussion. I'm going to provide the study case in terms of education and how education and also language of English connect to one another. China sends 500,000 students abroad. That makes China the first source of students who study abroad. And those students who go out, they think that English is a requirement and they do a lot of preparation for it. And when they come back, they become the elite class of works of foreign pedigree, so they're contributing to the China's improvement. So in terms of education, we all agree upon an idea that now there's a rise of global education. We are exposed to the interconnectedness. Now, Malaysian students can discuss with Indonesian students. Indonesians can exchange ideas with the Filipino, with the Brunei, with the Thai people. So the idea or the notion of global education provides us opportunity to further understand that in order to seize that global opportunities, we need to have an instrument or tool to seize that opportunity. In that case, it is in English, the way we communicate with each other and how we learn about one another. Moving on to another side of tourism. In tourism, I think it's really evident that being skillful in foreign language, especially English, is necessary for people working in the tourism and hospitality sector. I'm from Bandung. There are so many cultural heritage here in Bandung. And how can I promote my cultural heritage if I don't speak in English? Because I want people understand what I'm saying and I want people visit Bandung. So the reason is that because it is an instrument for having communication with foreign tourists and understanding cultural differences. When cultural understanding is something that we aspire to have or accomplish, then we have to communicate with each other, and English is the medium for that. I'm going to give a very specific example. In terms of food and beverage service, many of the high-level administrative and management positions require workers to use oral English to convey a complex exchange of ideas, read and write in English at an advanced level. ASEAN citizens who are poor in English will not qualify for these upper level management positions. See that there is an equality when it comes to the English language when someone is not able to speak in English because there are certain opportunities that people cannot seize. Next slide, please. After learning about the aspects which English appears, let's now talk about the facts. English First EF released an English Proficiency Index in 2019, and only 3 countries of ASEAN can be the countries with high proficiency of English skills, and they are Singapore, Philippines, and Malaysia. And we all agree upon the idea that in those 3 countries, Singapore, Philippines, and Malaysia, English is widely and commonly used. So considering the chart in this screen, we can see that most countries with lower levels of English, like besides the 3 countries, Singapore, Philippines, and Malaysia, will not have the same access to information and economic opportunities that ASEAN affords its citizens. We can compare, do some kind of a little or mini demonstration or experiment on Google. When we find a keyword in our native language, probably the results wouldn't be that much. But when we use the English keyword, the results will be so much, and we can find more information about that. So there's a demand in ASEAN that we have to at least enhance the capacity of people speaking in English, not only in Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia, as they are already great in speaking English. They have the higher proficiency of English. We need to also concern on other 7 countries. Next slide, please. So most ASEAN countries with lower level of English will not have the same access to information and the economic opportunities that ASEAN affords its citizens. As the rest of 7 member states of ASEAN fall into low to very low proficiency and the life aspects demand to be English proficient, an attempt to increase the proficiency level is highly necessary. So we need to find ways on how to socialize and mobilize people to be able to speak in English without forgetting their national language. So, for example, I would speak in Bahasa Indonesia, and also in certain occasion I would be able to speak in English because it's so important. Moving on to another slide. After knowing and recognizing that we have challenges in terms of English proficiency skill, we are having another challenge. And further adding to the challenge is that COVID-19. And the issue or the number of cases is still rising here in several countries in Southeast Asia. So we need to be smarter in terms of finding solution on knowing that, oh, we have the problems or we have the challenge in terms of language proficiency. Now we also have the COVID-19, and that's what we're going to reveal today. Next slide, please. We're trying to convert the classroom, the physical classroom, to online distance learning. So it's like from seeing whiteboard in classroom to laptop in our bedroom. So it's a change, and change is inevitable. So it's going to be, change is constant. There will be always change, and this is the time for us to adapt with the circumstances. That probably something that that new to us. So there should be a version from classroom to the online distance learning that should become the solution for addressing this challenge. Next slide, please. So the question is that what is actually ODL? ODL is actually the kind of education in which students might not always be physically present at school, or in other words, you learn, study, and qualify your own chosen subject online without having to attend an exam center, college building, or university campus. So you can actually access all the information and learning experience in home. Next slide, please. So here is the proposal of our solution. It is combination of students' leadership, the topic that we always uphold, and also the challenges that we're facing right now, which is the language proficiency and also the COVID-19. And it results in form of an English learning platform. It's called Ingleable, and I'm going to explain more about Ingleable. Next slide, please. So Ingleable is an online learning interactive platform. This is a platform for people to learn English, and it is available in 10 different countries in ASEAN. And as a youth-led platform, Ingleable offers result-driven English programs designed by the collaborative explosion of creativity among the experienced members of course ASEAN. It is established in June 2020. If you want to know more about Ingleable, this platform that is existing in Southeast Asia, you may check the social media below or just click on the website www.ingleable.com. Next slide, please. You might wonder, oh, why is it Ingleable, or from what kind of thing that you have to make it Ingleable. So the name stems from the words English and able. We want people to be able to speak in English, and it inspires the students and learners to be able to utilize English language for personal and professional improvements. We see that there are two aspects. Like, we do not only focus on the personal development, but also professional improvements. And learning English combined with ease is definitely more fun and meaningful. So it's not just about theoretical lessons like, okay, if you find this structure of English, then you have to do this and that. It's going to be more fun. It's going to be inclusive to many people in terms of making people familiar with English. Next slide, please. Our mission, or the Ingleable mission, is to connect the world and bring inspiration and great opportunities to individuals through maximizing and applying their English language skills towards a holistic way of living. Towards a holistic way of living is something that we truly highlight. That's why we implement Ingleable not only in Indonesia, but also in 10 different countries in Southeast Asia, ranging from Brunei Darussalam to Vietnam. Next slide, please. Why we need to use, or why we need to join Ingleable, or why we have to implement Ingleable? Because first, Ingleable has brought together a diverse team of passionate and creative industry experts. We're trying to make sure that the educators that will teach the people or the youth or the students in Southeast Asia about English, they are expert and they are well experienced in terms of teaching English. And other than that, Ingleable gives emphasis on integrity, dependability, and also accountability. That is why it is legal and it is registered in the law. And then Ingleable doesn't only provide pre-designed interactive English lessons, but also practical services. I know that some people probably are already good at English and they want to apply that in a very practical way. So that's why what Ingleable offers. Next slide, please. The Ingleable International, the platform of learning for learning English, it consists of founding team, core teams, partner institutions, ambassadors, educators, and also the global team. The founding team consists of Cherilyn Jumau As from the Philippines, Muhammad Dizga, I'm from Indonesia, and also Mega Zulailadini from Indonesia. So these three people, we try to initiate Ingleable in Southeast Asia. That's why we have branches or we have network in those 10 countries in Southeast Asia so that Ingleable is present in those 10 countries. I'm going to explain another more about the role of ambassador, for example. Ambassador will promote the value of English and also promote the program of Ingleable so that more people, more ASEAN youth can involve in this program. Next slide, please. And here are the courses that we provide in Ingleable. First, it's comprehensive. Second, it's conversational. Third, it's consultation. And the last one is that practical. So we try to be more inclusive by providing a diverse course for the people so that people can actually find the course that meet their expectation and needs. Next slide, please. Let's talk about comprehensive first. So in comprehensive, we learn about English as in a comprehensive way, just like what we do in school. In school, like we study grammar, we study about sentence structure, so many things about English, and we are trying to be more open to people coming from elementary or intermediate and advanced level. So it's very open for anybody who wants to learn deep and more about English. And then we also prepare TOEFL, especially because now in ASEAN, there are so many people who want to study abroad and they need or they are required to provide the TOEFL certificate. So that's why we provide that, provide the tutors and also the modules in comprehensive classes or comprehensive courses so that people can access that. And the next one, we have conversational. This course focuses on specific skill speaking. So it's about speaking. For example, in an hour, you're going to talk to foreigner about your childhood memories, about political issue, about youth movement, things like that. So in the conversational course, the students from specific country will meet another people, tutor from another countries. For example, if I become the student in Ingleable in the conversational class, I'm from Indonesia and I will meet my friend from Malaysia or Philippines to talk about something, to talk about an issue. Because the objective of the conversational class or course is to enhance the speaking skill. Because we know that some are great at writing, but not really in the speaking. So we want to provide that access to further enhance or hone the speaking skill. Next slide, please. Now it's the consultation. In consultation, we help people to do their homework. It's not just like doing their homework. We're going to give guidance for them about how to finish the homework, how to the assignment, how to do the quizzes, and also projects, exams. We're trying to guide people. We're not trying to do their homework. We're trying to give guidance on how to solve the problems in terms of English. And we have that in the consultation class or course. And the last class is that practical. This course targets on a particular area where English is practically applied. Some people are already good at English. They can speak in English. They can write in English. They can listen to English speakers, this and that. But then they want to apply that in a practical way. For example, they want to join Model ASEAN meeting, Model United Nations. They want to join debate competition, conferences, international exchange program. There are so many programs available in the region or abroad or globally that people can, the youth in Southeast Asia can seize that opportunity. And by understanding about the program and also how to write the CV, motivation letter, they will be equipped certain knowledge to seize those opportunities. So in a practical course or practical class, the people are invited to learn about how to create CV, how to write motivation letter, how to nail the interview, how to create a resume, cover letter, how to write professional emails, so many things related to the practical English, something that we apply once we are able to speak in English. Next slide, please. And this is the course package. So as Ingleable platform provides numerous or number of classes or courses, there is a course package that people can afford, and it is affordable as it also brings more advantage to the students who enroll, such as the modules, the access to the teachers, the access to global opportunities, because Inglebo will always provide information about, oh, in Malaysia, there's a conference about this. Probably you would like to join, and we're going to give you the guidance. And ASEAN Foundation probably holds ASEAN Foundation Model ASEAN meeting, and then we're going to advertise that to the students of Inglebo. So there are so many advantages that people can actually have and get or gain from their participation in Inglebo. Next slide, please. So even though some classes are paid or it takes some amount of money to enroll to some classes, there's a free program that can be accessed by a lot of people. We provide free webinar. So right now, as of now, we already have conducted more than 8 webinars discussing any topics. Like here are the 3 of the examples. We discuss about the role of youth in politics, self-empowerment gearing up towards international affiliations, and the importance of leadership and volunteerism. And we always invite outstanding individuals across Southeast Asia. So if you take a look at the flyer in the screen, the people, those 2 people within each flyer, they are coming from different nationalities. Like someone from Myanmar and also another one is from the Philippines. So there should be an exchange of ideas. There should be a platform for people to learn other cultures. So we're going to not just provide English lessons or English learning experience to the people, but also providing them access to see what's happening out there. Like, for example, some people do not know what's happening in Malaysia, what's happening in Brunei Darussalam. So this webinar could also be a medium for people to get to know one another, as we are all under the community region, which is ASEAN, which is important to be aware with one another. Next slide, please. Now let's go with the SWOT analysis. First, about the strength. The Inglebo platform provides flexibility in terms of strength because people can learn English from anywhere and anytime. You can do it in your bedroom, you can do it in your kitchen, and then students are allowed to set their learning schedule as per their convenience without following a regular schedule of learning. Probably in most traditional or conventional English centers, you have a strict schedule. Like you have to follow and adhere to the schedule set by the organizers or by the people in that institution. In Inglebo platforms, you are the one that sets the schedule. So for example, I have a class from 7 until 5 p.m. and I can do the classes
Sorry
at
to interrupt
9
you,
p.m.
Neskia, but you
Yeah.
have 10 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. And then, so people can choose. So if you want to join in Glabo, you're very easy to choose the schedule. Like, oh, I have a free time from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. Then you can choose that schedule. So it's really easy for people to join in Glabo and learn English because we're trying to bring the English lessons uh, as good and also as fun as possible to the people. So people see English is not just about foreign language, but also as a medium or tool for them to change the world and to be impactful for the society. Next slide, please. So another thing about effectiveness or efficiency, the course fee is affordable and inclusive to students who are looking for economically viable options. So it saves significant amount of money, and moreover, the course offered at distance learning centers are cheaper than the courses provided at traditional education centers. And then it's less travel, of course, because it's going to be conducted online through online platforms such as Zoom, Google Meet, or ClassIn. And you don't have to commute in crowded buses or local trains to access to certain place to get educated about English. So it's also the best option during this pandemic because we have to practice social distancing and have to have protocols that we cannot gather in a public place or public area. So this could be the answer, or this could be the option for people if they want to study English. And then the next strength is that earn while you learn. Students can go on earning their livelihood along with improving their qualifications, as Inglebo will accommodate both learning as well as earning. What does it mean? It means that we all know that now the people who are studying at home, they're also doing internship, they're also doing work, they're doing entrepreneurship, so many things they do. They are becoming multifaceted, that they're not just a student, they're also entrepreneur. So earn while you learn is that, as we have flexible agenda, as we have the flexible schedule, people can still study and choose their schedule based on their needs, while can still doing work for their for improving their livelihood. So it means that it's very flexible for the people. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about a weakness. High chances of distraction. With no tutor around for face-to-face interaction and no classmates who can help with constant reminders about assignments, the chances of getting distracted and losing track of deadlines are high because we're not there. The students are there, and we are physically apart, and then we don't know what's happening there. So sometimes people feel that they are not really committed because no one assessed that directly. No one assess, or no one um, sees that person directly. So sometimes it can create the high chances of distraction. And other weakness is that complicated technology. Students seeking to enroll for English level course need to invest in a range of equipment, including computers, webcam, and stable internet connection. And in several areas or several countries, it still becomes a problem because, for example, in Indonesia, we are an archipelagic country, so the connectivity has always been our challenge, right? Probably in this region, the internet connection is really good and stable, but in other islands or region, it is different. It is low quality of internet connection. So it has to come with a very strong instrument in terms of technology like computers, webcam, and stable internet. Because if like there is an error in the in terms of internet or computer or webcam, the learning experience wouldn't be maximum. We cannot really accomplish the objective of learning because we have the problems that probably hinder the progress of the learning itself. Next slide, please. So the other one is that no social interaction. People sometimes demand social interaction when they learn English, when they study something, because it will give more a long-lasting memory in themselves. But in this kind of situation where we have to practice social distancing and there is no public gathering, students will have to adapt with this kind of with no social interaction, because the interaction will just happen on the online platform such as Zoom, Google Meet, or ClassIn. And other than that, it also connects to the difficulty staying in contact with educators, because sometimes students feel that they need more knowledge, or they need more understanding about some topic in the lessons, and they can send an email. They can approach them through WhatsApp or social media, but yeah, they're not going to have the immediate response uh, because there is different of time, for example, or there's different business of educators that can result in the late, or in not giving the response immediately. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about the opportunities. First, there are so many opportunities that we can think of when it comes to the Engliable platform, the one that we propose. It's possible collaboration with relevant parties, including but not limited to formal institutions, organizations, and communities. Right now, we are working closely with ASEAN Youth Organization. I know that some of you probably familiar with this. IO, that's the biggest youth organization in ASEAN, which encompasses the needs and also the objectives of ASEAN youth, and we are working closely with that. And then new technologies or medium can allow for more enhanced learning environment for students. Zoom or Google Meet can seem boring for some students because it's just like virtual feel, just like our face there. So there's another platform called ClassIn that we can use and utilize in terms of providing a more fun and also interactive way of learning experience. And the third one is that ability to reach out more and a wider students base and increase equality and diversity in education arena. So as it is online and we have channels across Southeast Asia, we're trying to promote that and there's an opportunity for us to promote that to another countries, especially when it comes to open collaboration, or when we need the speakers or educators from specific countries. We can reach more a wider student base and increase equality and diversity in education arena. So it can be the alternative for people who want to study English. Next slide, please. And we also have threats. First, increased cost to maintain complicated databases and online medium. uh, we all understand, we recognize that some platforms are not free. We have to invest some amount of money to get premium access. So there's not a limited time of access, things, and so on and so forth. So therefore, there's a increased cost in terms of maintaining complicated database and online medium. And the second one is that difficulty recruiting and keeping quality educators, because it's going to be conducted online, and probably we're facing the difficulty in reaching out to quality educators, because the educators are still in university, they are still studying this and that. So this also can be the threat of this the solution that we propose about English level. And the third one is that the number of enrolled students is declining, because reflecting from previous presentations, it's always a challenge for people to have a constant excitement about learning. Sometimes youth feel like they're excited for a week, and then after that they're not excited because it's boring. So the number of enrolled students is declining, can be a threat for the platform. And also it connects another point: completion rates of enrolled students is stagnant. And also the potential and existing competitors. We have a lot of competitors that provide the same, but yeah, we share different values in terms of providing it in Southeast Asia region.
But you
Yeah,
have two more minutes
yeah.
to
Thank you
complete.
so much. So here is the solution. The solution, it based on the matrix. So let's talk about one by one. When we combine the strength and opportunities, there should be collaboration with formal education institutions such as high school and university, approaching media partners to advertise the platform and its available courses, creating a more fun, interactive way of learning experience. That's for the first alternative of solution. The second alternative, when we combine the weakness and opportunities, we have to provide additional or extra courses for those who need, set weekly or monthly meetings involving students and educators. And what about strength and threat? We need to apply for innovation challenge completion to get funding, promote the advantage of enrolling to English level through social media campaign and competition. And what about weakness and threat? The solutions are strengthening the commitment of students and education through the scheduled dialogue and meetings, and providing more free access to certain activities such as webinar. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, English is the embodiment of students' leadership in terms of facing the pandemic COVID-19 and answering or addressing the challenge related to the language proficiency of English. Next slide, please. Here are references. And the last one is, so we're very thankful for the opportunity. We hope that there's always a collective work between all ASEAN youth that can embody the objectives of us in addressing any possible challenges, because after all, the collaboration is needed, as together we stand, divided we fall. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll begin a 5-minute Q&A session. So from FT3, for those less fluent in English, don't this make it harder to study, especially involving online where lecturer can't explain it in traditional method or physical?
Yeah. So the question is, for those less fluent in English, don't this make it harder to study, especially involving online where lecturer explaining it in traditional method? So that's why in the English Lab itself, for those students who would like to enroll or who would like to take up part in English Lab, they should take the placement test first. In this placement test, people will be grouped into a beginner or and also intermediate and also advanced. So by understanding that there are different needs in terms of the student's capacity in understanding English, we're going to provide the teacher that meet the expectation and the needs of that student. For example, if someone joins Inglable and they are doing the test, the placement test, and group into the beginner classes, we going to provide the teacher that is inclusive to that one. For example, the language instruction will be both like Indonesian and also English. So it's not just about all in English, and also the modules can be more inclusive by providing more fun and easy to understand related to English. So it's a part of our program actually. Thank you so much for the question and highlighting that.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Next, okay, from Jasmine Suhaimi, ethnocentrism has caused people refuse to learn English language, especially who live in rural area. So what kind of program or initiative to develop and implement this English language for them?
First, thank you so much for echoing the needs of people in rural areas, as we also have to be more aware about those people or communities. Uh, According to my knowledge, I think it's going to be as before I just presented about opportunities. In opportunities, there should be a collaboration between Ingliable and also the government. In Indonesia, we have the national government in Jakarta and also local governments within every region, every cities, every municipality, things like that. And then after we collaborate with them, we can reach out more people in the rural areas. So the programs can be a collaborative action between the Ingliable programs and also the program of the government, the program of the local governments. So it's going to always reaching out to any kind of society, whether they are living in urban areas or in the rural areas. We're still going to reach out to them first through the collaboration with the government. And the second one is that in the future, we can have another idea or initiative to do the volunteering activity in the local areas. So more people or more teachers come to the rural areas and teach about English in a very fun way. So the quality education can still be accomplished whether you are in rural areas or in urban area, as we have to promote that. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess that's it for the Q&A session. Thank you for those who asked the questions from Miss Jasmine and Mr. Fitri. And thank you for Mr. Desgia for your presentation and for
Thank
your
you so much.
answers. That's it from our last presenter, Mr. Muhammad Deskia Adinadia Putra from Universitas Padjadjaran with the title A Shift from Classroom Online Distance Learning Illuminating the Existence of English in ASEAN. So with that, we have come to the end of the session. We are grateful for the time and effort that each presenter put to make this ASEAN University Student Leadership Conference 2020 defining a role of student leadership in facing pandemic COVID-19 successful and engaging. So as this session is ended, we will give out the keyword, and the keyword would be yes, MNL 623, and I will repeat twice. MNL 623, and the last one MNL 623. Okay, so that's all from me, Afif Shazani, for this session presentation. Now I'll pass back the studio to Mr. Fitri. Thank you and have a good day.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pishavani. So yeah, we'll be back at 2:30 p.m. Malaysian time. So stay tuned and have a good lunch. All right, thank you.